Today we're going to discuss hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells produce electricity that is commonly used as backup power. Big companies such as T-Mobile use it to back up their towers that send out the cell phone signals. It's also used in factories for backup power, and they're even trying to put it in cars. So how does it work? So you can see on this diagram here, it starts with hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen comes in on this side, it goes through an anode, which takes out the electrons and sends it up here through this wire. And then the hydrogen atoms that used to be neutral, but they lost their electron, they now have a positive charge and they head through an electrolyte. And then once they get through this electrolyte, they get to the other side. And while they're going over there, the electrons are traveling through this wire and producing electricity right up here at the top because it's a movement of electrons, which is electricity. Then they come back down here into the cathode, where the oxygen is and the hydrogen are moving through. So the oxygen and the hydrogen bond up, and then the electron comes in to complete that atom, and they head out as water. So that's how it works. The hydrogen goes in, it separates electrons to create electricity, and then it all comes back together to create a clean byproduct, which is water. So let's compare hydrogen fuel cells to batteries. Hydrogen fuel cells are clean. Batteries have corrosive battery acid inside. Hydrogen fuel cells don't lose their charge. As long as you have hydrogen and you have oxygen, they'll keep running and keep creating electricity. But batteries, on the other hand, run out of charge. And unless they're a rechargeable battery, they're done once they're out of charge. The fuel cells also have lightweight relative to their power output, whereas batteries are much heavier. So the weight, if you compare the weight of the hydrogen fuel cell to how much electricity it's creating, it's a much better ratio than that of the battery. Lastly, let's discuss some pros and cons of hydrogen fuel cells. So some pros are that they are clean, since they only produce water and electricity. There's no bad byproduct like harmful vapors such as fossil fuels that give off a lot of CO2, but these just give off water, so they're very clean. They're renewable, since you can keep creating hydrogen and oxygen and putting it into the cell to create more electricity. It's not going to run out. And they're modular, so that means they can be attached together to create more electricity. It's easy to stack up a few hydrogen fuel cells to create more electricity depending on how much you need for your application. And then some cons of them are they are dangerous because since they contain hydrogen, which is a highly flammable gas, and oxygen, they're dangerous in that way, and that leads to the other con, which is heat intolerance. So one of the biggest issues with putting them in cars right now is that they'll become too warm and start on fire. So they're dangerous and they aren't super stable in high heat conditions. They're also expensive right now. Since it's a relatively new technology and it has just a lot of expensive components into it, they're relatively expensive. So those are some of the cons and some of the pros. But overall, they are a nice, clean and renewable energy source that could possibly be very important in the future.